All right, class, good day. Our lesson for today is about curriculum mapping. Curriculum mapping is a process or procedure that follows curriculum designing. Meaning to say, class, once curriculum designing is done, what you need to do is to make a curriculum map or to do curriculum mapping before implementing the written curriculum. This process was introduced by Heidi Hayes Jacobs. This approach is an ongoing approach or work in progress to make sure that all topics are covered and there is no overlapping or redundancies in terms of competencies covered from lower subject level to higher subject level. For example, there is no overlapping of competencies between English grade 5 and English grade 6. It also means that it is not a one-time initiative which involves the teacher and other stakeholders. Therefore, you need to go back and forth, right? Now making sure that there is no redundancy and the competencies are appropriate to the level of the students. Some curricularists would describe curriculum mapping as a map to success because with the use of a curriculum map class, you will be confident as a teacher that the learning outcomes, learning experiences, and activities are aligned. Hence, the learners will really develop the competency expected of them. And some questions are the common questions that teachers and even parents ask. For example, what do my students learn? Or the teacher would ask, what do my children study in school throughout the year? Do my co-teachers who handle the same subject cover the same content? Or do they also achieve the same outcomes? Lastly, how do I help my students understand the connection between my subjects and other subjects within the school year? So these questions will be answered by doing curriculum mapping. That's why curriculum map is a functional tool in curriculum development, a map to success. Okay, class. So what is a curriculum map? Curriculum maps are visual timelines that outline desired learning outcomes to be achieved, contents, skills, and values taught, instructional time, assessment to be used, and the overall student movement towards the attainment of the intended outcomes. Curriculum maps provide quality control of what is taught in schools to maintain excellence, efficiency, and effectiveness. It is intended to improve instruction and maintain the quality of education that all stakeholders need to be assured. This is why, class, that when we implement the curriculum or before implementing the curriculum, we need to have curriculum mapping because it makes the teaching learning process more effective, relevant, and meaningful to our learners. In other words, the implementation of the curriculum becomes seamless and problems about the alignment of the elements of the curriculum is avoided. So what are these elements in the curriculum? These are the learning outcomes, materials, teaching learning activities, and assessment. So all of these elements should be aligned. A map can assure stakeholders specific information for pacing and alignment of the subject horizontally and vertically. So when we talk about alignment, now curriculum mapping, talking about curriculum mapping, there should be alignment. So alignment has two aspects. We have the horizontal alignment and then the vertical alignment. Curriculum map will also avoid redundancies, inconsistencies, and misalignment. So horizontal alignment, class, means the teacher teaching the same subject, or rather the teachers teaching the same subject at the same grade level will have similar pacing. Therefore, teachers who are teaching the same subject follow the same timeline, and accomplish the same learning outcomes. Accomplishing the same learning outcomes is necessary for state-mandated assessment like NAT or the National Achievement Test. This is a state-mandated assessment or standardized or standard-based assessment like for example periodic exam because for some divisions periodic exam is centralized. For example, all grade 5 learners from different schools will have to take the same exam. This is similar to the departmental exam in MSU IIT. Vertical alignment, on the other hand, will see to it that concept development in spiral form does not overlap, but building from simple to complicated concepts and skills. Horizontal and vertical alignment makes learning more relevant. A curriculum map is always a work in progress. Once again, a curriculum map is a work in progress that enables teachers to create and recreate the curriculum. It allows for necessary modification of curriculum, changing the standards and competencies in order to find ways to build connections in the elements of the curricula. Again, the elements of the curricula, learning outcomes, materials, teaching learning activities, and assessment should be connected. Okay, so now let's go to curriculum mapping process. By the way, this is an example of a syllabus of TTL1 or Technology for Teaching and Learning. So we will use this curriculum to guide you in the curriculum mapping process. Example A, make a matrix or a spreadsheet. So as you can see, this is already a matrix or a table. Next, place a timeline that you need to cover. 1 quarter, 1 semester, or 1 year. This should be dependent on time frame of a particular curriculum that was written. So as you can see here, class, we have here the weeks, and this unit is good for 1 to 2 weeks. Number 3, enter the intended learning outcomes. Skills needed to be taught or achieved at the end of the teaching. So you will find here, class, that under the intended learning outcome or ILO, you have the skill that students need to master, which is summarizing. Number 4, enter this in the same matrix the content areas or subject areas to be covered. So here we have the topic. This is for technology, introduction to technology for teaching and learning. And under that are the subtopics. Next, number 5, align and name each resource available, such as textbooks, workbooks, module next to the subject matter. So although class that in this syllabus, it's not the resources are not beside the topic, but at the end you will find the resources. So we have instructional materials, websites, videos, online treasure hunt, and also the suggested reference, which is a textbook. So in this class, we use online learning because in CPE 107 or Technology for Teaching and Learning 1, we implement blended learning. So later you will know how it works. Then number 6, enter the teaching learning methods to be used to achieve the outcomes. So here under TLA class, this is the teaching learning activity. So you would see how blended learning is implemented. So we have online activities and face-to-face activities. So for meeting 1 or M1, students read or view videos in advance about the topics using online treasure hunt. So meaning to say, class, students may not be inside the classroom for meeting 1, as long as they can access the resources through internet or wherever they are or at whatever time they want to access. But they have to make sure that they have to be ready for the next meeting, because meeting 2 is phase 2 phase, meaning to say the class and the teacher should be in the classroom to discuss what students were reading and to clarify questions of the students or misconceptions. So for meeting 2, the method here is a small group discussion of concepts of educational technology. And then meeting 3 will be creating graphic organizer to summarize the concepts of educational technology and its contribution to education. Okay, number 7, align and enter the assessment procedure and tools to the intended learning outcomes, content areas, and resources. So in this example, we have here underlined words. So for the intended learning outcome, again, the skill to be achieved by the learners is summarizing skill, and it is aligned. So talking about horizontal alignment, it is aligned to this one, to the objective, which is at the end, no? So what the last objective is summarize the concepts of educational technology and its contribution. So we have actually intended learning outcome, which specifies what competency should be developed at this meeting. And so we broke it down to 4 learning objectives, that is for every meeting. And since referring to our teaching learning activities, there are only 3 meetings, so we actually join 2 objectives here in one meeting, that is 2 and 3 under meeting 2. Next is the objective is aligned to the assessment task, which is the synthesis. As you all know, when you synthesize, you are also summarizing the concepts. And the task is also aligned um, to the TLA, which is at the last meeting, students have to summarize. So talking about the assessment tool, we use the assessment tool Rubric for graphic organizer class because graphic organizers are tools to summarize concepts. Just a quick review. The examples of graphic organizers are fishbowl diagram, Venn diagram, or cluster diagram. So these are tools to summarize complex concepts. So that's the assessment tool. And you will see here also in meeting 3 that students will create graphic organizer to summarize the concepts. Number 8, circulate the map among all involved personnel for their input. So once you completed this curriculum, you have to distribute this to all teachers who are teaching the same subject so that they can comment. They will see the consistency, no overlapping, or are there things that you need to improve. And then number 9, revise and refine map based on suggestions and distribute to all concerned. So you have to collect the curriculum and then revise any suggestions that they put there. So you see it's not a one-time process, but it's an ongoing process. You have to go back and forth, just so there is no inconsistency, redundancy, and misalignment. All right, so as you can see, example A class was really about the OBE inspired syllabus for higher education. But this one, what you are seeing on the screen right now is an example of a curriculum map. So example B, curriculum map for a degree program in college. Since a degree program, you could see all the subjects, no, that is offered in that specific degree program. For example, we have this one, professional education courses. So number one, make a matrix or spreadsheet. So we have the table already. Number two, identify the degree or program outcomes. So before you can create the curriculum map, there must be a program outcome. What is a program outcome? Program outcome is what learners are expected to have, to develop once they finishes the degree or the program. So for example, we have the BE Ed or the BS Ed. Number four, list the subjects along the vertical cells of the matrix in a logical or chronological order. So on the at the first table, no, at the first column rather, you would see the subjects there. And then number five, list the degree program outcomes along the horizontal cell. Use the code PO1, PO2, no? If outcomes are too long to fit in the cell. PO means program outcomes. So there are 8 program outcomes there. Next, so cross the subject and the outcome and determine if such subject accomplishes the outcome as either learned, performed, or practiced. You will see below where you can find the legend. And then O for given opportunity. Place the code in the corresponding cell. Number 7, fill up all cells. Number 8, after accomplishing the map, use it as guide for all teachers teaching the course for students to complete the degree in 4 years. So we have an example here, class. The first subject is the social dimension. So the program outcome 5 is L, meaning learned outcomes. So they will learn this outcome. So for example, let's go to the another window here. What is PO5? Okay, PO5 is, it means that students will learn in social dimensions about facilitating learning of different types of learners in diverse learning environments. So learners with disabilities, learners who are gifted, and learners who have problems, no, learning problems. Another example here is the teaching profession, and under PO1, that is P, or practice the learned outcome. So they will be able to practice this outcome. PO1, applied basic and safety, basic and higher 21st century skills. So meaning to say, in the teaching profession, students will be able to apply and practice higher 21st century skills. For example, communication, collaboration, critical thinking, creative thinking, and digital literacy. So these are the higher century 21st century skills. So they have to practice that, in that, not just learn, but practice and apply those skills in that subject. And lastly, we have, for curriculum development, we have program outcome 6, and that is O. What is program outcome 6? Let's see. So this one. So in our subject, curriculum development, actually, it's an opportunity for you to learn learn or practice directed experiences in the field and classrooms. So through observation, teaching, assistance, and practice teaching. However, since you are in a special program, CPRT, and many of you are working, so you cannot do all these things. Or rather, you cannot do observation or even practice teaching because you are still new you're still taking professional education for one semester. So maybe after 2 semesters you will have practice teaching. But for now, in our subject, curriculum development, after your lesson plan, we might have demonstration so that you can really practice, no, the skills in teaching. All right. So that's all for this lesson. I hope you learned something and be safe.